Okay, so this is a tutorial that's sitting in between the Beckmann tutorial and the GGX tutorial, and it's basically exists to address a few of the problems that we were having with the Beckmann shader. And so what we're basically going to do is put the Fresnel function back into the shader, and we're going to do that by cleaning up this section down here. So the first thing that we need to do is, I believe we should, I don't think we need both of these diffuse mentions down here, so I want to take a look through what I originally had done previously, and it looks like I don't have the diffuse in this section. So it's just going to be specular color times n.l times k value times cook torrents. And we're going to hit save. And it seems like that made everything a lot brighter. So that was part of the reason why everything looks so dull. And also, let's take a look at the back of the character. Okay, as you can see, that looks quite a lot better. Just by removing that alone. Okay, so the second thing we need to come down here and look at is the F0. So we need to re-add F and see what happens. And we'll do F times instead of F plus first. And as you can see, that doesn't work. And all this is doing now is just changing the color on the front of the character, because I believe if I look at it, yeah, that's not quite right. Looks interesting on the back side. We're getting some really weird things going on with the view direction as I scroll in, so we know that's not right. So we're now going to we're going to change that to F plus. And we're washed out again. And we're also having this same weird highlight thing going on. So, so it's been a while since I've used Slick's approximation for Fresnel. So there's a possibility that Slick's looks a little, I don't know, weird. So we're actually just going to put this where it should be in the general equation. We're going to put it inside the cook torch function, and then we're going to hit save. I believe I may have been a bit premature in moving the F down here. The F will have to go down here when I use a different Fresnel term. So we're actually just going to physically put it where it should be. Now we can increase F0. But this is what I don't particularly like about Slick's approximation. So I guess I might as well just start talking about this issue. So basically, Slick's approximation has a Fresnel hooked into the specular component, but that's not what Fresnel is actually supposed to do. So Fresnel has no effect on grazing angles besides making it, it has no effect on grazing angles. His approximation doesn't. All it does do is seem to increase and decrease the opacity of the specular term, and I don't like that. So I don't use this equation, but I'm not going to show you the equation that I use until we get to the Fresnel section, because there's some theory and a little bit more, a few more things I have to explain and also show you when it comes to incorrect behavior of the of Slick's Fresnel term. And it's probably not mathematically inaccurate, it's just it doesn't look physically correct. So I use something else. So at this point now we have a functioning Beckmann shader with no errors, and it has all the terms as they were originally supposed to be, or it had all the terms based on how they were originally supposed to be in the equation. So nothing has been modified yet. Now, let's talk about some modifications that may need to be done to the shader still. And those modifications are going to be about the final lighting portion of the shader. So it's down here. So first off, we removed the extra diffuse lighting that was down here that shouldn't be down here, and now we're looking at just this section down here. So we have the diffuse texture, we have the alpha texture of the diffuse texture over here, which seems to be fine, and we have the matte cap down here in the matte cap range. So the last issue is the texture. So this part really depends on your own personal preferences. So okay, so in my original shader, I think I took out the matte cap range, so it didn't exist anymore. I think I just had it as a static number. The other issue is down here in the texture. So I think I wanted to do something like, well, I multiplied the texture by itself, because I think I felt that the colors were washed out based on how they actually looked in my photo editor. So I'm multiplying the texture times the texture, the diffuse texture by the diffuse texture, and it makes it more red, but these are some magic numbers, so bear with me here. So one of them was +8 and the other one was ×3. No, so I did something wrong here somewhere. XYZ. Z was deleted. Okay. Okay, now this is too bright. Okay. Why did I have it so bright? Okay, so I think the reason why I changed things down here in my older shader had something to do with some settings or something that I don't have in the current shader. So I guess we might not need to do that yet. But so +8 might be too high, so I'm going to do ×3 + 3 and see what we get. Oh, that's still too red. And also too bright. So let's see if I can find some magic values that'll look good. So the issue was that Unity makes things look a little bit washed out, so I had to bump up its coloration by doing some multiplication. Let me also take this off just to make sure there's no, okay. So without the matte cap, it looks very washed out, so I had to multiply his textures together, which is why I had to multiply the textures, but then I also needed to add +3 because um, without that +3 he should look pretty dark. Yeah, he looks burned. So I had to add a +3 to it. So now he's closer to his original his original coloration, and then when I add different matte caps on top of it, um, it'll look, oh, the matte caps will pop more, and it'll also contribute some brightness, but they also might be a little bit overpowering now for some reason. So, I guess the matte caps that I originally made, probably that you saw me making in the video, were probably a little bit too um, strong, and the matte caps that we actually need to make are a little bit more subtle. So I'll do another video on how to make a matte cap that actually works properly with this shader. But now that we've made now that we've done this to the texture, we need to adjust the range for the matte cap. So we're going to go all the way up here, and I think the matte cap range was going up to 2. I think I want to go only up to 1, and then I'm going to say that the middle range or standard range is 0.5, and I still may be able to blow up the strength a little bit too much. It's still a little bit too bright. That might be the reason why I actually got rid of the range. So we'll just leave it like this for now, and then I will multiply the matte cap by a static value and take out the range at the end of this tutorial, and it'll be part of our final touch-ups. But now you should have a shader that's working pretty well right now. So this is the end of this tutorial, and then next we're going to go into the GGX shader. So stay tuned for that. Bye.